Hello. How's everybody doing out there? Peasant Chat. That's right. Every Sunday, we talk to poor people that just should not be able to afford a super chat here and there. And we would answer setup questions and a little bit of everything. And basically, that's how Turvey got introduced to this chat with just, the most ridiculous shit. Now, people like that are coming out of the woodwork. And actually, the funniest things that happen during this show is like you find out, because I have access to a decent amount of people with this on social media crap, you find out that people want to maybe be on your channel or whatever, and they go out of their way. But then when you try to test their loyalty, you don't hear shit from them, aka Nick. Nick is interesting because a Holly Haram member has been paying for over 4 years. And I simply asked him I tested his loyalty and he failed. So it kind of goes hand in hand with Peasant Chat stuff. Today, what I want to talk about, a little bit of everything, but mostly how insane the technology has gotten, where now a 5,000+ pound Lucid Air Sapphire makes a Model S Plaid, which, let's be honest, the Model S Plaid is the standard bearer for performance, whether you like it or not, where you're talking about, like people say, well, having a Tesla go down the quarter mile is like microwaving your food. How many of you microwave your food? A lot of you, don't you? You reheat a lot of shit. So that argument goes away. Well, it's like having a awesome steak, grilled. And you're grilling your own steak, seasoned to perfection, as opposed to, who the fuck microwaves a steak? Nobody microwaves a steak. Nobody microwaves a steak ever. And if they do, they should be killed. But the Lucid Air Sapphire, the Sapphire is the top tier model that they have. Runs like a 8.9 quarter mile or a low 9 consistently. It's 60 to 130s in the 4s comfortably. It has way over 400 miles range. It goes 1.90 to 60. And it makes the Model S Plaid Track Pack Edition, not just a regular Plaid. The Track Pack Edition with the better brakes, the better everything. In a U-drag situation, it destroyed it. And I'm starting to think, okay, because knowing Tesla, knowing Elon Musk, how he operates, the Roadster is still kind of floating out there in the ether, and a lot of people that have waited 10 years for it, they'll wait. Like the same people that were waiting for the Cybertruck. Make fun of the Cybertruck all you want. Call it gay. Say that if the grid goes down, it ain't shit. You guys forget about solar panels and stuff. That's my favorite. Like on Instagram, people argue the weirdest shit. We'll talk about all that. We'll show you the video, the U-drag situation of the Sapphire destroying, not beating the shit out of a Model S Plaid. And it makes me go, I wonder what the Roadster is going to be like if it ever comes out. We're living in a day of technology, of a very advanced technological era. And you can't take that for granted. You can make a Mustang go 8s with, $50,000. Cars are coming with 1,000 horsepower with just a couple of bolt-ons, which are, $20,000 bolt-ons. But if you have the money, the power, the technology is available to make a really, really nice all-around package. Not Mustang, though. Lucid Air Sapphire can do it all. Stop, accelerate, turn, look good while it's doing it. We'll talk about that and many more things, but not before. Mr. Bill O'Reilly says hello to the people out there.
Okay. We'll do it live.
Okay.
We'll do it live. Fuck it. Do it live. I'll write it and we'll do it live. Fucking thing sucks.
It sucks. Bill O'Reilly's always right. It sucks. So let's get started early on a Sunday morning talking about D&A Performer, D&APerformer.com. They pay their bill, and that's why they're on the board. If you want to buy any parts, and get a discount, you use D&APerformance.com. Mention you're an AMRI member. Probably give it a little bit of, change off. Check them out. Support the people that support the show. PMAS, Nick James, PMAS. I owe Omar a PMAS intake. He opted for that. So I'm going to try to get him that based on the Thursday YDBT Daily win. So PMAS, Nick James, we're going to be calling you to get a cold air for Omar. Partsfarm.com. They got a GT500 in that is deep impact blue, and I want the rear bumper cover. But they're going to get that in. So check them out. Check them out on their website. Check them out on Facebook. A nice, looks like they have a good motor, good transmission. 1314 GT500, ready to go, ready to sell. Any used Mustang parts or Camaro or Dodge parts, hit them up. Partsfarm.com. 2 Auto Solution, Ramey's out on. I might send the GT500 motor down to him, because at this point, no one's looking to fuck with it. And I would absolutely give Rami a shot of building because he built a lot of Coyote and Trinity stuff down in Puerto Rico, because he is the best late model shop in Puerto Rico. And Bellac Industries, Bellac, if you want to let everyone know you sell drugs and you don't mind letting the cops know, you put Bellac wheels on your ride. Let's talk to the people out there. Let's say hi. And we'll then show you the video of the Lucid Air Sapphire just beating the ever-living shit out of a Plaid. And we'll talk about the performance aspects of it. And then we'll talk, whatever shit you guys want to come up with. Joe Swiss, Third Coast Coatings, Monty 540, Wesley Stewart, Jasso, it's Clean 93 GT, Alex Carrera, Big Pops, 50 Stallion, Jared Wells, Big Guns, Craig Walls, are you getting ready for World Cup? And what kind of prep is that? Like, do you freshen up the motor? Do you freshen up the transmission? And then do you do 2 or 3 test sessions before World Cup? I wonder how all that goes, because it must be a huge undertaking to prepare for that. Coyote Kelly, The Wolf, TJ Sikorsky, D-Rock Fox, Deuce did it, Torque and Beans, Yogan Lates, Joe Jackson, Mark Christensen, Bryson Witt, Matt Oliver, Paul Sachs, EPA, Alfredo Morales, you ain't done it a couple of times. Mini by Madman, Gregory of Canis Lupus, Devin TK says, good morning. What the fuck is this? Mr. Prime? What the hell? This thing just skipped. Mr. Prime and Tim O, Levi EZ, Alex Carrera, Bryson Witt. Yes, boy, you're good. Rich Prince. I'm the worst. I'm really the worst. It's Sunday. I had a good time last night. I went out. I actually went out, get the hell out of the house, because I was working on Donnie. And I don't know, there's a mystery going on with Donnie's transmission. We got Rich Prince USA /collections /YDBT. You get yourself some nice shirts. The Section Hate sweater seems to be like one of the best sellers. We got Hush Money stuff. We got Hush Money long sleeves and hoodie. I'm going to get a Hush Money hoodie in black. I just think the design people really appreciate on the this stuff right here. So if they can come up with more designs like this, that seems to be a winner in my book. So yeah, see if Rich Prince can get on some like cool, badass designs like that. Coyote Crime Lord, Jordan Vert, Alex Vallejo, Matt Benoit, and Patreon. Of course, get on my Patreon. You want to get full access you want to get direct access and be part of a tight group of guys that have their own little chat. They sell parts, they post stuff that happened on the internet. Patreon.com user, that shit, that link, just click that link, fuck it. Ivan D, Copperhead Gaskets, Eddie Freiberg, CPR, Saturday Crusher, the Sean Official, Hobson, Jerry Smith, Dixon. What, the Sean Official? Is there someone that's copying you that is not the official you? Jay-Z, Crime Lord, Diddy's, D-Rock Fox, Paul Rod, Coyote Crime Lord, Grassroot Coyote, Connor, Thunder Biscuit, Soplapote. There's some cool stuff. Cameron Summers, Third Coast Coding, Nick Soplapote again became Bitcho level member. Oh, yeah, awesome. Thank you for becoming a Bitcho level member. Arturo Mostillo, Alec Salazar, Donkey Mac, JD Swag, James and J, Jared Wells, Rican, Martin, Ken Phillips, Craig Walls. I was planning to race WCF, but tore some shit up last weekend. Unfortunately, not going to be able to get parts in time. I'm super bummed about it, but it saves me a lot of last minute work. It's probably a good idea, Craig Walls, to enjoy, and this is going to be something that's going to fuck you up. You're a little younger than me, or maybe my age. You're probably a little younger than me, which is weird. I feel like I'm like, I don't know. I feel like I'm not older than most, but I am. You're gonna go to World Cup, get a hotel room as if you're going, and enjoy it. Enjoy the secondhand pot smoke. Enjoy the cars racing. Learn, look around the pits, see what others are doing, and then when you get home, there'll be a nice reset, right? You're like, you know what? I saw some things that I might want to change up in the car. I saw what the cars are running. I'm going to have goals to aim for next year. Hell, I'll come down to Florida, right, Craig Walls? Just because it's wintertime doesn't mean you're not racing. I'll come down to Florida after the parts come in, try some new stuff, and be ready to go maybe enter a race or two down here. And there's snowbirds. There's U.S. Nationals or some shit like that. There's a lot of stuff happening in Florida because our season starts. So it'd be interesting to see if you go to World Cup, see what's happening, and then maybe configure your car a little differently because you get some ideas. A lot of people tend to go to a race and actually enjoy the race by just spectating, unless you see tractors going up and down the whole motherfucker. Let's watch the Model S Plaid get drugged by a Lucid Sapphire, Lucid Air Sapphire. Again, guys, two of the most potent, technologically advanced American. These cars are American. Don't get it twisted. We live in America. We should be proud that this shit is available. By the way, where the fuck are these guys? I need some of that. That long strip of concrete. God damn it, why don't I live somewhere where I have access to stuff like this? So, U-drags. Again, it's like a quarter-mile race. You smash the brakes, you turn, and then you basically do a roll race out back. Check it out.
It's all about the visualization.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Oh! Oh! He's gone. Oh my God! Oh! Oh! Stop! Oh my God! Oh my God! Turn around. Now fire it out. Can't wait, mate. Oh. It just can't have much horsepower, just more horsepower. This is wild.
Okay. I mean, spectacular. I didn't want to talk through it. I wanted you guys to enjoy it like I enjoyed it. So then what they do is they switch drivers to see if it was a fluke, to see if it was something else. So they go ahead and do race 2. So the Asian fella goes over to the track pack Model S Plaid. The Anglo fella goes over to the Lucid Air Sapphire, and they race again.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Did not have the punch off the line, but we'll see. Focus, 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 focus. Wow. Oh. Okay, let's grab the brakes. Come on. Brake early. Fire it out. Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. There we go. Whoa. And we look like we're winning. I brake early there, and he's still miles ahead. It's not very close. Oh, actually. Come on, Plaid. Oh, yes.
I thoroughly enjoyed that. So then they go over the numbers recap, meaning what the car ran in the quarter mile, 0 to 60. They basically whittle it down.
Ridiculous. We love doing these races, so like, subscribe, and share this video so we can keep them coming. Here's the track conditions.
So forget
0 to
that.
60 goes to the Lucid Air Sapphire at 2.2 seconds.
So Lucid Air Sapphire 2.2, Tesla Model S Plaid 2.3. But look at the difference. It's a car. Forget the 2.223 and then it's a car.
Quarter mile goes to the Sapphire again at 9.2 seconds at 100.
9.2 in the quarter mile is probably a 5.9 or a 5.8 in the eighth. This thing is going 150 on the street. The Model S Plaid went 9.5. If you don't think that's a big difference, it absolutely is. 0.3 seconds at those speeds is 3 cars or more. That is fast. So if you think about it, the fast cars that ran like fast no prep cars are probably mid 5-second cars. Think about that. No prep, Billy Badass, meth, turbo, all this stuff. Billy Badass cars are mid 5-second cars.
149.6 miles an hour. Max cornering goes to the Lucid, pulling 1.34 Gs. And the win goes to the Lucid Air Sapphire at 27.9 seconds at 163.3 miles an hour.
Now, maybe you guys are going, Alex, why are you showing $250,000 Lucid Air Sapphire beating the shit out of a $100,000 Model S Plaid? This is the peasant chat. You don't understand. You don't understand. Let's look at the big picture. These are American cars. So if you're an American car fan, and you want to argue with BMW boys, you want to argue with Porsche guys, because you guys love to argue on Instagram, just point out to this. So just point to this. Because now you, at the highest tier, Lamborghini, Audi, whatever, not one fucking car comes close to this shit at its price range. Name your car. Ferrari, Lambo, nothing. Forget in its class a sedan. But let's just say $250,000. Find me someone, any manufacturer that makes a high 8-second car in the quarter mile, a car that gets 400 plus miles range for a full charge or tank, has 1.32 cornering, carbon ceramic brakes, and the Model S Plaid at about $120,000 with the Track Pack Edition. Really good brakes, really good seats, really good suspension. So you're looking at top tier American vehicles. People forget. People go Ford, fuck Ford. Ford, Chevy, Dodge. They are all in second place to electric car companies when it comes to performance. And in terms of Tesla, if you want to talk about the 3 best-selling EVs in the United States, is the Y, the 3, and the Cybertruck. And Ford has had a head start on the electric truck game. If you take into account the Rivian, the F-150, and I believe there was another one, maybe the Chevy or whatever, the Cybertruck outsells all 3. So I'm kind of blown away that people don't really care about this. They put it down, but that's the standard bearer. That's the measuring stick. The measuring stick, if for stock car performance, is the Lucid Air Sapphire. So when I saw that, knowing how fast the Plaid is, knowing how popular the Plaid is, knowing that is usually a 4-second 60 to 130 car and the measuring stick and a low 9-second car, this thing made it look slow. So then I started going, well, what's going to happen if the Roadster comes out? Well, number one, it's going to be $300,000 or more. So again, super elite, but American car. You don't think it's going to go 850, 840, 820, maybe a 7-second quarter mile? Based on what Elon has done, I don't put anything past him. Hell, he's giving away $1 million to anyone that signs up to like a certain pack in Pennsylvania. Every day he gives away $1 million randomly to someone that signs up to this Pennsylvania pack shit. So I'm like, yeah, if the Roadster does come out, it's going to be interesting. What do we look forward to? Mustang stuff. And what do we have to imagine nowadays? The modern Mustang stuff is all you got to look forward to is Whipple 9.5 cars that claim 1,000 horsepower on a dyno. Like, that's what we have to look forward to. That's why I'm just like, until tuning comes out, torque reduction can be taken away. I don't think you're going to see a impressive pass. Will you see like a sub 9.5, like a 9 on a fully gutted car? Again, I'm telling you, JPC, you guys need to come out with a turbo kit. I hope you're working on it. I hope you guys have the Pro Charger tune, but shove twin turbos in it. And if you can maybe finagle a second gear leave using the paddles or whatever and get a 2-step and hopefully the codes don't do anything stupid, you can really shove it up everyone's ass by being the first 8-second 2024 and up Mustang with a Pro Charger tune on a twin turbo stuff. That, I think, is something that a lot of people are missing out on. But again, we're talking tuning, meaning 2-step, unless you could do a foot brake situation. But imagine that's where we're at now. Electric cars are running low 9s. Technology has advanced and we have gone backwards. We don't have access to tuning. We are impressed with numbers that were being done in Mustangs since the outset of the Coyote. 9-second Mustangs are impressing you guys? Like, you guys are literally rawing 9-second Mustangs. That's where we're at right now. Fuck out of here. We'll talk about it. Talk to the peasants. What do you think? Do you care? Do you give a shit? You don't? Who cares? It's peasant stuff, so we'll talk to the peasants here. So my executive buddy at Lucid says the old Tesla guys that worked are focused on nothing more than stomping Tesla's guts out. Coyote Crime Lord, that Lucid Air to Tesla is like every other Coyote tuner to Lund. There are guys that will go out of their way to prove a point. They will lose money. They will concentrate on one car. While Lund is just volume, kicking ass, quickest, fastest cars on the planet are tuned by Lund in Fords with factory computers. Let's start putting asterisks on everything. But there'll be one or two tuners in garages somewhere that go, yeah, I did this one thing better than Lund. Okay, but do you do anything else? I don't see your cars at World Cup. I don't see your cars at FL2K. I don't see you tuning anywhere with anything substantive that wins races. So a lot of people will go out of their way to slight. And I think that's a good motivating factor. But at the end of the day, if no one is buying your product like Lucid, in Palm Beach Gardens where I live, in West Palm and just South Florida in general, tons of Lucid Air vehicles, but not Sapphires. I have not seen a Sapphire on the road yet. That's a proper gapping. I'm not going to lie. I like the looks of both cars. Me too. Craig Walls says, I'm going to help Mark Benson Jr. and have a good time. Plan is to get everything ready for the Bradenton in January or Georgia in February. Same age as you, by the way, 46 years old. So that's nice. We're at that age where we can like spend a little money on cars and toys and have a little, leisure time. And we kind of like concentrate on the hobby. The work just kind of like facilitates the hobby. And once you get to that point in life, it's a good look. But hopefully you have a good time up there. And if you go to the Ford event that Raul so the track owner of South Georgia Motorsports Park, his name is Raul Torres. And Raul Torres, now that NMRA died, he's like, hey, you guys want to like potentially come down March 13th through the 16th to South Georgia Motorsports Park and have some fun. And it's called the March 13th through the 16th Spring Break Ford Nationals. Now, the nice thing about that is pushrod, modular, anything with a Ford. I'm sure you'll have index classes. I'm sure you'll have turbo classes. I'm sure you'll have grudge racing. I'm sure you'll have no time stuff because Raul is an old grudge racer from South Florida, Hialeah area, became successful, bought the track. Hopefully that event takes off, and I will support that event because I like the dude. 5 Stallion, I'm pulling best cold air intake for a Gen 2. I'm done. Okay, this is the peasant chat, so we'll do it. Best cold air intake for a Gen 2. I'm full bolt on right now. I just want a better intake. There is only one Centauro Swole. Are you flexing in your profile picture? There is only one cold air intake that matters. And I'm talking data. I'm talking drivability. I'm talking consistency. The best feature, or when I judge a cold air intake, I judge it based on if I can take this tune and plop it on another car and it's repeatable within 2 or 3%. That's a manufacturing consistency process that I like. When a cold air intake varies in size, JLTs, P51s, you name it, when they have to be tweaked all the time, then I think it's a manufacturing process issue. PMAS is deadly consistent to the point of them giving you a math curve. You can literally plop in the data on your tuning software, HP tuners, SET, proprietary stuff, and you can plot exactly the math curve, put it in, and the thing just trims within 2 or 3% fuel. The day will come where this type of performance will be outlawed. It's insane to put this in the hands of the regular Joe. The Lucid Air is like $175, isn't it? $250,000. Lucid Air Sapphire. Air Sapphire. Price. $249,000, guys. The Air Touring with all-wheel drive, 620 horsepower, starts at $77,000. The Grand Touring, 819 horsepower at $109,000. But the Lucid Air Sapphire is $249,000. But guys, it's a good-looking car. This is say what you want. This is a luxury vehicle that gaps. Wow, this is just full of ads. Unbelievable. But no, this thing is no joke. This is for the uber rich. $250, but it's an 8-second car. 400-mile range. You won't really have range anxiety, and you drive it twice a week. And then what? Charge them for 8 hours before you can use them again? Oh, here we go with your dumbass. You and I both know charging doesn't take more than an hour or two. And let me ask you, Leo, because you don't understand how anything works. When you park your car, if you can afford a $250,000 Lucid Air Sapphire, you probably have a house and you can afford to have it plugged into your shit. What do you think your car is going to do while you're sleeping? Charge. Do you drive 400 miles in a day? No. That charge, 400 miles, I'll give you an example. My Cadillac, when topped off, sees about 414 mile range. It takes me 2.5 weeks. 2.5 weeks to deplete the tank, Leo. So imagine you have a 450 mile range in your Lucid Air Sapphire, and you are at 200 miles, and you're like, fuck it, let me plug it in overnight. Whoa, every day. You don't drive 400 miles every day. You don't do Uber Eats in a Sapphire. What about 8 hours to charge every day? No. Overnight, while you're sleeping, you plug the bitch in. Again, because I have an industrial mechanical background, when I hear stupidity, I have to call it out. Most of the modifications done on Mustangs from parts companies are stupid modifications. The fuel system routing is stupid. You don't know what you're talking about. Okay, got it. Tell me what makes more sense. Deadheading a fuel system, returning it at the regulator, or full return, heating up the fuel around the motor, constantly doing this around the motor, so your two pumps that are pumping gas are going through the lines, returning at the regulator, but you're still returning. I'm sorry, you're not returning at the regulator. You're returning after the rails. So if you have a blower motor, you're basically heating up the fuel. And do you think there's some kind of heat sink or some kind of fuel cooler that you have in your car? No, asshole. You should, though. If you're doing that bullshit, some kind of cooler, heat sink, that the return fuel somehow dissipates any of the heat going back into the tank. So now your two pumps that are running a little warm, pumping fuel to the car, running it through the engine bay over and then just constantly circulating fuel around the fucking rail and engine and back. It's just going to get hotter and hotter and hotter. And then one day you're going to be somewhere, you're going to go, oh, the thing starts really tough. Alex, I think I need more fuel. Are you not boiling the shit? And then guys will look at you dead in the eye sockets with zero mechanical experience and tell you that a deadhead system is dumb. Okay, got it. I ran 894 at 157. Dude, that electric car is freaking fast. What is the mystery on Donnie's transmission? Didn't like the new transfer fluid? I don't know. I was driving fine. Great. I ran a personal best 12.0. And I was like, damn. And then I get in the complex, take a right, and it just loses any ability to put power to the wheels. So I'm thinking, did the bolts shear off? Because when I have it jacked up in the air right now, and I put it in drive, and the wheels spin. But when you put it on the ground, it just doesn't push. It takes a lot to move the car. So it's up in the air. I let it cool down. Yesterday, I checked the fluid. It was a little full. Like it puked out. And I'm like, it shouldn't have puked out because the car was at operating temperature. So I'm like, overfilling won't cause issues generally. I didn't see any leaks. Okay, fine. So maybe it had a half a quart too much. Okay. So why it doesn't explain why when you put it in drive on the street, it doesn't go forward, it doesn't go backwards. Like you need to give it a lot of gas to get moving. So I'm like, so today I'm going to take the little inspection cover on the 6R80 off and see if the bolts tying the converter to the flex plate sheared off or something. So that's what I'm going to do after the gym. After this, I'm going to go to the gym. I got to get the pump in. You know what I'm saying? Anyone going to Friendly Fades at MGMP? Friendly Fades. Let me guess. Who is promoting Friendly Fades? Theo, about to drink again. Bonus points for solar panels and power storage. You know what? I got into a bit of a conversation with a guy that was like, in one particular example, in a very small, tiny, specific example, electric cars don't work. I go, where? He goes, the hurricane damage in North Carolina. And I'm like, okay, so can you get gasoline? Can you get gasoline? So if you have a generator, a car, and a disaster happens, now all the routes are cut off. The way gas stations get gasoline, a diesel-powered truck drives a tank of gasoline to the gas station and pumps it into the underground tanks. And then you have to go to the gas station and pump it out of the tanks into your car. So if the tankers can't get through, you don't have gasoline. Oh yeah, but helicopters. Oh, we're talking now aircraft. So imagine you had a solar panel and you have battery storage and you have electric vehicles, you have electricity in your house, you have the AC going, everything is going because you have solar panels. Oh, that's stupid. Oh, it's stupid. Gotcha. Let me see. Do you have like a gas powered impact wrench in your garage? Do you have a do you have a gas powered ratchet? No, all of your tools are electric. Shut up. A 350 kilowatt Electrify America charging station. It recharged 118 kilowatts lithium ion battery pack from 10 to 90% in 46 minutes. So the way Elon Musk describes charging is this. The reason the first 80 or 90% it's reached that relatively quickly, but it takes a longer time to get from 90% to 100% is, think of it this way. When you're charging a battery, it's like an empty parking spot. So let's say your battery is at 0% and you plug it in and there are finite amount of parking spots. And you then, everything that needs to populate is in an empty parking spot. Boom, 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 boom. It goes up really quickly. So then you can get up to 80 or 90% quickly. But then the last 10%, it has to find those individual empty spots in the big parking lot to, put itself in. And then you reach the 91, 92, 93. So basically think of a 0% battery as a empty parking lot. Think of a 85% battery as a parking lot that is 85% filled to capacity. And you have to find those 15% spots. That's why it takes longer to charge from 85 to 100 than it does from 0 to 80. We're peasants. Why are we talking about $250,000 car? Will EVs ever be this attainable for the masses? Clutch dumping? You're retarded, right? Will EVs like this ever be attainable for the masses? EVs like that are attainable for everybody. Clutch dumping. Are 8-second Mustangs available for the masses? Are Lamborghinis available for the masses? Are Audi R8s available for the masses? Can you afford an Audi R8? No. So it's not an EV argument. It's a what you can afford argument. There are $30,000 EVs. There are $35,000, $40,000 EVs. Your Mustang that's in your profile picture probably costs you $50,000. And you and I both know that a Model 3 Performance that costs the same or if not slightly less than your fully equipped Premium GT will fuck up stock for stock a stock Mustang. So it is not a $250,000 car, LOL. It's a vehicle that has the ability to run that number where an ICE vehicle at that price range cannot do that. That's what you got to start thinking about. Oh, when is it available for the masses? ICE cars are available for the masses. Can you afford them? Probably not. Don Quixote says, any experience with the Aeromotive brushless pump? No. Honestly, I don't know enough about the brushless stuff, but I do like the theory behind it. You're going to have to start seeing big high-end cars that make way over 1,000, 1,500. They stop using the bucket system. They don't use the triple 285s or triple 295s. Eventually you're going to have to go to something external. And again, we're talking big power, big power. External, like a brushless or a mechanical pump that's belt driven. Big boy stuff. So the brushless stuff to me is very desirable if you can keep it cool, if it can flow, and if you can actually program it so when there's a higher demand, it ramps up like a variable frequency drive, but it has to be pretty instant. I don't want it to be low. And I'm sure there's a way of tying a boost reference, I'm sure, to a pump that has a VFD in it built in, that when it sees like a map sensor, let's say a map sensor in a brushless pump, and when it sees 1 pound of boost, it goes up 1 PSI. So when it sees 10 PSI, the pump gives it more pressure. But that's also the job of the regulator. But with a brushless pump, I'm sure there's ways of ramping stuff in. But again, you're talking $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 pumps. I saw a video of a Rivian that was flooded in the hurricane and didn't have any battery damage, still worked. I still have 17.8 kilowatt solar and it doesn't save me a dime. I mean, you got to have like legitimate solar. Let's face it, EV should not be your only vehicle, just like your Mustang should not be your only vehicle. Mazda RX-7 EV is a better hybrid. Gas motors and onboard generator for extended range and also bypasses the charge system when you hit the accelerator pedal. Yeah, just like Elon explained it. Exactly. I'm literally copying. I'm no genius. I'm literally word for word saying what he said. Alfredo Morales says, I charge my Plaid once a week while I'm at work. Never had an issue, and I've taken long road trips with no issues. Wow, actually blew my mind with that parking lot example. That's what Elon said. Regarding Donnie, that sounded like trans clutches or the actuator of said clutches, but why would it do it all of a sudden? Like, did a watt pull, felt great, pulled into the complex, died. Again, if I look at it and the converter bolts are still attached to the flex plate, it's coming out and it's going to get rebuilt. Just got a 24 Model 3 Performance. Shit's quick. Alex, why isn't there brand new 8-second cars for $30,000? Exactly. Oh, it's not available to the masses. Well, no shit. $30,000 doesn't buy you an 8-second car, ICE or electric. It's funny. You should do your lives on a second channel I don't have to sub to. No. Oh, I'm sorry, Taylor. I'm sorry you have an issue with the way I do live streams. One thing that sucks about EVs currently as it sits is you get what you get. You really can't tinker a whole lot and squeeze more power out of it. Maybe do weight reduction in it too. Capitalism is cool says, I got a 12 GT500. If this motor blows, I don't trust anyone to build it. And I was wondering if you ever posted the swap parts list for your 13. I could eventually. I could do a video. Alex, that kills 8-hour charge argument. Alex, that kills the 8-hour charge argument. I guess I don't know what you're referencing. I'm not in your head. You have to kind of type out the whole thing. The variant has a single brushless pump with one wicked cool controller. I think if I got into that heavy, who do you trust? Doesn't Injector Dynamics have a badass pump? Injector Dynamics. Fuck me. Dynamics. Fuel pump. Yeah, it's a $2,500 pump, which in the grand scheme of things, it ain't that much. ID BPC 100. Is this it? Okay. Here we go. Check it out. Let's do some reading. Okay. The BPC 100 is a single pump solution. The BPC 100 is mated to the TI Automotive E5LM brushless pump. Represents a new approach to fueling high-power racing engines, providing the fuel for 2,000 plus horsepower on ethanol. Thank you so much for making that distinction. A lot of fuel pump manufacturers, they say 2,000 horsepower, but it's on gasoline-based fuel at pressures as high as 150 psi. So you're talking about a 50 base pressure and another 50 on top. Oh, 100 on top. Shit. How does it work? Microprocessor controller monitors pump speed and maintains target flow rate as even operating conditions change. It does it by powering the pump from an internal power supply, making the flow independent battery voltage and fuel pressure across the board operating range. Consider the comparison, flow rate, operating voltage 7.0 to 17.5. Pressure is 150 psi maximum. Good. Variable from 300 to 1100, 5 amp minimum, 100 amp maximum. Operating range from 18 centigrade to 70, and they show you the design. It has an integrated controller. I think it's cool. That's cool. That's an easy solution, but you need like a surge style situation, don't you? Like you where do you mount it and where does it suck from? You know what I mean? So yeah, I think stuff like that can be a viable option when you're out of like your triple hat situation. Good morning, Alex. I asked my tuner at Lund about a deadhead fuel system, and he gave me an illustration, but I understand and how you said about the fuel heating up. This is this show. If Lund tells you we prefer a true return style system, whatever your tuner says is good. Alejandro Flores does not subscribe to what's the common. Make it make sense in my head. Make it make sense why a true return style at 1100 horsepower, 1500 horsepower is better, safer, and better for tuning than deadheading and returning at the regulator. Make it make sense in my head. Please. Like, if you're pressurizing the rails, and the rails are pressurized at 55 PSI, and, you know, or 40, 50, whatever, and you're deadheaded and you're maintaining pressure at the rail, and you're returning at the regulator, not returning after the rail, explain to me like I am a child with verifiable data that is superior than deadheading, meaning true return versus deadheading. I might be wrong, but nobody in the industry can explain it to me and justify why they prefer true return over deadheading at a certain power level. Okay. Everyone retracted their statement. What's happening? Vaporworks makes a PWM pulse width modulator pump controller. TI Auto makes the Varian brushless pump. You can also buy the controller. It's under 4,000 if I remember correctly. You can run it with an internal surge tank. I was going to say the surge tank would be the way to run that stuff. Hola Theo, dropping a like on my way to Circuit of the Americas. Good for you over in the Austin area. Speaking of Injector Dynamics, someone buy my ID 1700, says Third Coast Coatings. Sorry, I was referring to the 46-minute charge time about killing 8-hour charge. Yeah, the 0 to 90% charge time being 46 minutes. And people go, oh, you got to charge it for 8 hours. Yes, with a 110 volt trickle charger, it'll fucking take 20 hours. But if you are buying an EV, all you have to do is take 40 minutes out of your week. Because 300 miles can last you a week unless your commute's stupid. And if you are one of those people that runs your tank to 5 miles to empty before you fill up, I can't talk to you. Like, I get at 50 miles to empty or 100 miles to empty. I'm like, let's fill it up. EVs would also be a lot better if we didn't let China and get the patent for the vanadium Redox flow battery. That shit would be insane for power storage. Wouldn't have to worry about power outages at all. Alex has Tourette's this morning. Buddy's Cobra runs a deadheaded 4 system, no problem. Yeah, but you got to understand, right? A lot of people are going to take the example of the low power guy, and it's not an issue for the low power guy. Why not? Why isn't it an issue for the low power guy? Has anyone tried it? Has anyone gone out there and taken individual rail readings, deadhead versus full flow, whatever, you know, true return, and shown any positive or negative? Like, no. Like, I don't know of any fuel system company that has done the math. Now, can they sell you more fittings? Yes. Can they sell you more Y blocks? Can they sell you another $50, $60, $70 line? Yes. But imagine if all you need for up to 1100 horse, which is like the vast majority of people, if all you need is a deadhead fuel system, it's returning at the regulator, so the pumps aren't stressing out, and I'm still wondering why people regulate it after the engine. I'm still on the fence about that. So a lot of people are regulating the flow after it's gone through the rails, after it's gone through the engine, and then on the return, they regulate it down. So you're getting pumps pumping directly to the rail. Let's talk about this, because it bothers me. let's say you have two 285s, unregulated to the rail. The flow is coming this way and it hits the rail. What's the pressure at that spot? And then after they've gone through the engine and then your regulator is set up on the return line after the engine, you regulate it there to slow down the flow, you think. So, no problem. Put a fuel pressure gauge before the rail. I'm sorry, yes, before the rail. The pump pumping to the rail, I want to see that pressure. And then if you think 55 PSI after the rail is what everything is seeing, no problem. Put another gauge before the rail. And we'll see if from the tank, the pumps are pumping to the rail at the regulated after the rail pressure. Bro, nobody has done that test. Nobody has done that test. Show me where they've done that test. I'd love to see it. And again, I could be wrong. Absolutely. The Gap Father says, what's up, guys? I work right now. I live in Chicago. Alex, just wanted you to know for no reason. Thank you. Don Quixote. Midi by Batman, 220, son. Zimbabwe champion. Don't know much about fuel systems. Is the Deadhead fuel system pretty much a return-less system? Oh, my God. I said you return at the regulator. Hitting the catch in the replay later. I fill my tank at least once a day for my job. 800 wheel. I have to buy my $600 McLeod adjust. Do I have to buy the $600 Nylon B? Like, type everything in. Okay. Quick question. I bought a Stage 2 Caliber with a twin disc RST. I bought an OEM slave cylinder. The trans will work. The trans will not go in. What? I have a T56 with a McLeod RXT and I used the stock slave and everything went in fine. It's hitting the slave. Well, is the slave extended? Like, is the slave extended? So doesn't it have to be compressed? Nylon B? Like, your clutch is here, your slave is extended, right? It's extended. It's in the out position. So then you bring the motor to the transmission and you compress the slave. And then you bleed the line and the slave then can push on the diaphragm of the clutch. Maybe I'm not understanding what you're saying, but it sounds weird. Our charger is placed at a target. So I just did some shopping while charging. Can't beat that. You better honor our patent, says China. What's so bad about a 40-60 minute charging when you're just going to have to go home and scroll on Instagram for that long anyway? I think the most high horsepower OEM vehicle is Deadhead, the fuel rails. I wonder what the new ZR1 fuel system looks like. That is interesting. That's interesting. What I would love to see the fuel system layout. It is DI also, right? It's PIDI. Drove my buddy's Model Y dual motors and it's wicked fast. Mine goes both lines to the fuel regulator, then to the fuel rails. This is the way you're wanting it set up, then back to the regulator. Relax, relax. Whatever your tuner set is fine. I'm just saying there is no adverse effect of being deadhead versus full return. I just think that if you were to get a temperature gauge on the fuel returning to the tank on a true return setup, it is hotter than deadhead. Glad you're getting into this. It makes complete sense to deadhead the fuel system. So much of my build is heat mitigation already. Might be building some AN lines this week. Let's ask John Lund. See, no one has done that test. That would be a fuel system test. Like, I would need to put a temperature sensor on the return line of a true return system. And then that is the temperature of the fuel. So if the temperature of the fuel, okay, so let's do this. Tank, regulator, pump to the rail, but then it returns at the regulator. So it does this, right? So tank to regulator, regulator to, at the bottom, because there's multiple ports. So the multiple port, there's a return port. So you go feed, return. So it's feeding and returning nowhere near the engine. It's feeding and returning at the regulator, nowhere near the engine. Cool. Now, take that temperature reading of the return fuel. The return fuel, take that temperature reading. Now, do a true return, meaning flow the fuel around the motor and return it after the motor. Measure the fuel temperature there. I guarantee there's like a 10 or fucking 15 or maybe a 20 degree difference. I'm sorry, Alex. I failed my listening comprehension class. The peasants need an MS paint diagram of the deadheading. Flow is volume, pressure is force. I just like how you explain it. It seems safer than less stressful than the only thing the calibrator said deadhead can cause issues for the back injectors. Show me the data. And again, if it's John saying this, I'm like, show me the data. How does it cause issues on the back injectors? How does it cause issues? Make it make sense. If you have a fuel system pressurizing a rail, I have a, oh Jesus Christ, my God. I have a prop. Okay, so if this guy's pressurized, the whole rail is pressurized. The only way you would see an issue is if you're measuring the pressure here versus here. So let's say this is deadheaded. Let me turn this off. Okay. This is a true return system. This is an AN line. This is an AN, AN fitting. So this is a true return that was in the GT500. These are ID 1700s. So let's say I go boop, and now I'm only feeding it here, and everything is pressurized. And let's say this is the number 1 cylinder, and let's say this is number 4. The only way I can tell you that there's going to be an issue is if I have a reading that shows flow or pressure at this part of the rail versus this part of the rail. If I don't have that data, I cannot have an opinion as to what's a better setup for the fuel system. I'm just guessing or I'm just hypothesizing. But are you actually taking data from this injector to that injector? Is this injector seeing 50 PSI and is this one seeing 46.5? And if it's not and you don't know, you can't say true return is better than deadheading. Because if I put my finger at the end of a garden hose and pressurize it, the whole garden hose is pressurized. Now, if there's a pressure drop here, but then I have an injector issue. Maybe I have an injector stuck open, but that's going to cause a problem whether it's true return or not. But unless you have readings of every single individual part of the rail that is above the injector, you cannot say with certainty that it is worse to deadhead something than to true return it. I could be 100% wrong, but I don't think I am because I know flow systems just like I knew drive systems better than most. Always use the salve your car calls for, and always use the OEM slave. I had this problem with T56, but got it in no problem. Anyone happen to know what happened to Whipple's lead times on shipping out blowers? Ordered a Gen 6 3 mode from my wild car yesterday. I mean, probably in higher demand, so they're probably catching up. So my Turbo GSXR is set up that way. Pressure sensor on the entrance of the rail, FMU regulating the fuel. The last step in the process, I log no fuel pressure loss. When will you get custom Bellhousing? I got to ship it to the guy over at in Ohio. He's going to do the plotting of the bolt pattern, and we're going to buy a QuickTime Bellhousing, cut the back of it, and try to shove the Corvette bolt pattern onto a modular Bellhousing. What size pulley people PSI? What size pulley PSI people usually go with the 2.3 Roush Gen 2 6 already with the fuel system 85 75 millimeter. I'm running 79 70. What size pulley PSI people usually go with on a Gen 2 6R80 with a fuel system and E85? Well, on a Gen 2, let's say you have crank gear and oil pump gear and crank sprocket, you can get away with whatever if you have a fuel system. Typically, guys do like a 75. 79 should make you about 700 wheel, and you can see if I had a Gen 2 Mustang 6R80 E85, all the proper bolt-ons to make it safe, I'd run a 72 all the time. Is running fuel lines in parallel the same as full return? You have to give me an example of what you mean by that. Great conversation about the fuel system would be an interesting test theory. That's all. I'm just not willing to say something that I don't see data of. That's all. So show me data in a Coyote that shows a deadhead fuel system has an issue with the back two cylinders versus full return. Because in my head, it doesn't make any fucking sense. Would he give you a false reading on pressure? On fuel? That's a good question. I'm not 100% sure. Just make sure not to mount the regulator right over the headers. Exactly. Has to be cooler deadheaded. That's what I'm saying. Fuel also boils at a lower temperature under pressure of vacuum. Methanol is like 110, but at 92, definitely can vapor lock a motor. Dropping like and watching later. Can they print the 3D print the Bellhousing for you to do a test fit? Probably. The slave is already full compressed while putting it in. Fully compressed? How did you do that? Now on B, did you like cap it and something's wrong. You should not need an aftermarket slave cylinder for a clutch like that. Something else is wrong. I don't think it's fully compressed. AKA resistance in the rail can't be an issue. Alex, I unfortunately am selling my 22 Mach 1. I've been listening to you since January. I just want to say thank you. And I've learned a ton. Hey, Muji, thank you very much. If you do decide to come back to the Mustang world, Gen 2. Half Bolted On says, Alex, I'm a dumb peasant, but what would be the adverse effect of heating up the fuel 10 to 20 degrees? Doesn't sound like a lot. Or is this something that only affects really high horsepower cars? So let's say you get a full true return style system. You now have more fittings, more lines, a more complicated setup that cost you more money. And what it got you at 1100 horse was 20 degree hotter fuel. How is that a good thing? Big question is, does E85 hold less heat in petroleum-based fuels? Now we're getting into the weeds. I have a standalone fuel system for my nitrous kit, and it has a gauge on the supply coming out of the tank to the regulator, which also has a gauge in the engine bay. The PSI is the same, if that helps. Standalone fuel system for my nitrous kit has a gauge on the supply coming out of the tank, going to the regulator, which also has a gauge in the engine bay. Is it at the regulator or is it at the pump? The gauge at the pump going out to the regulator, how is that 55 psi if it has to get to the pump? But I get it. Once everything's pressurized, right? Once everything is pressurized front to rear, I could understand regulating it down. But I'd love to see, not in a standalone nitrous setup, but in a Mustang that drives on the street. See, this is the thing, though. You guys think we're just talking about a quarter-mile run. I'm talking about guys that turn their car on and drive for an hour. You're circulating. Let's say you're in Florida. See, you guys forget I'm in Florida. And you guys, well, it gets hot in Pennsylvania. Not like Florida. It gets hot not like Florida. It's 7 to 8 months of holy shit. And maybe Arizona gets hot, but it gets muggy, hot, soupy here for many months. So when I talk about heat, I'm very sensitive to it because I experience it way more than most. If you're in the Northeast and you see 3 months of hot weather, none of this applies. None of this applies when it comes to heat, fuel, anything of that bullshit. I think everyone is putting way too much thought into this. We're talking about milliseconds of time difference of pressure loss. I agree. Now I'm moving my regulator before the rails, Alex. Don Quixote, if you're not having issues, leave it alone. I am just spitballing, and I'm trying to make people like, see, before I came along, nobody was talking like this. That's the reason I'm even here. Before I came along, nobody was asking these questions. Nobody was checking these people. Nobody was saying you steal tunes. Nobody was saying this guy sucks, that guy sucks. Nobody was saying that keys being filed down on a crank on a cam gear is fucking stupid and why. Everybody was just accepting what the companies were telling them. So I come along and go, this is all fucked up. And some things are good. Some things are really fucked up. And now people hesitate. People literally go, okay, I'm going to put out a product. Is Alex going to talk shit about it? Because if it's obviously fucked up, I'm going to talk shit about it and I'm not going to recommend it. So when it comes to fuel systems, again, we're talking like a tiny portion of the population that can justify true return. But do you really? Like, show me the data and I'll say, hey, you're right. I'd have no problem being told, yeah, man, I'm wrong about this. Cool. But when I think about it, I would prefer a Deadhead system over everything. Stock rails are Deadhead, good enough for the manufacturer. Thank you for having this conversation. Super informative. And I'm going to send you the photo I got sent on Patreon. Got it. As far as I've seen on cars I've worked on with a Deadhead system, the regular is usually either in the tank, regulators using the tank or past it, and it's on the return. I think the regulator is a dump valve. I don't mind that. I don't mind that thought process. I think that's okay. See, it's almost like you need to have like multiple fuel pressure sampling points. You should have it at the pump, at the rail, at the regulator, and see if you're having an issue anywhere along those lines. But nobody does that testing. 0 people do that testing. I like your thought on the regulator before the rails versus after the rail. Me too. It makes sense to me. It makes sense to me. Also, when you put your gauge, like I'll show you guys an example. This is a data log. I want to open a data log file of a Gen 3. Let me see if this shows fuel pressure. Yep. Yeah, look at this. Okay, this is good. I hope you guys enjoy this. So, it's a peasant chat, but it's an informative peasant chat. So this is a Gen 3 Mustang, and the reason I know it's a Gen 3 Mustang, it's got fuel pressure on the log. And look at how choppy the fuel pressure is. Let's do some thinking. Why do you think the signal is so choppy? This is fuel rail pressure. Why do you think the fuel pressure signal is so choppy? Think about where the gauge, think about where the sensor is located, and tell me why you think it's so choppy. I'll wait for a response because I want you guys to really have some like common sense. Thank you for the response. I was expecting a roast about my question. Your explanation made sense. Cool. Fuel denser makes more power than hot fuel. I agree. Nothing is hot like Florida wet heat. Hey, it's up to 110 plus in Florida. Yeah, I get it. 72 millimeter would be badass. I suppose I should throw in some OPGs before making the power. 79 millimeter is killer, but I want a little more power. Yes, 72 millimeter. I agree, Coyote Kelly. See, say it with your chest. It's not a problem. Florida is swamp. Yuck. My neighbor's LS1 Camaro Cam always has starting issues after driving off and heat soak in 15 minutes. So again, why? Desmond, I love you, brother. Desmond has it. Desmond says injector pulse. So because the fuel pressure sensor is on the rail on a Gen 3, the pressure is choppy. But this guy got me a wide open throttle log. And we're going to go to ETC actual, which means he went wide open throttle. See this flat thing? That means his foot is to the floor. And if you look at pedal, bam, he's to the floor. It mirrors the actual throttle. So we're good there. So when you're looking at the pressure, you can't look at specific points. You just go, on average, it's going up. The pull started at 54 PSI. It ended at 67 PSI. And then you shift, pressure goes down slightly, but comes back up. So if you have a 50 PSI base pressure and you see an average of 64 PSI, he's seeing about 14 or 15 PSI. That's how I know the car's making good power. Air load is about what, 2.0? Yeah, 2.2 air load, no slip, it's good. So imagine you take this signal, this fuel pressure signal, and you move the pressure sensor over to the line, away from a pulsing injector. This distortion right here is literally from a pulsing injector. So now your fuel oil pressure is somewhat, you can read it, but it's just, look at the highs and lows. Let's really zoom in, right? Let's really zoom in. I mean, if you want to be, weird about it, 43, 49, 40, 49, then it comes down to 38. So you're like, oh, wait a minute. If you're looking at it on Excel, you go, holy shit, fuel pressure's 38. No, asshole, the injector's pulsing is skewing the signal. So what do you do about this? Well, you can move the fuel rail pressure sensor to a line. Now, this is where I start going, okay, if you're going to do that, let's get multiple fuel rail pressure sensors. Let's go pre-regulator, and then at the rail, and then leaving the... I would love all that data. You know what I mean? So those are the logs I see when when I'm watching a guy do a pull. I don't see the fuel pressure go up in a linear fashion. I see it get really choppy, but on average it's going up. So I go, that's the injector pulse fucking it up. When someone relocates it to the line, it is smooth. Now you have great resolution. Now you see what the actual fuel pressure is doing, and you can almost like dictate or see. Not dictate, you can see the trend. Oh, it's smoother signal and it's dipping here. That means we have a supply issue. So when you have a issue with supply and the signal varies so much because of the injector pulse, you have a harder time determining what's happening. Is it a fuel pressure, fuel pump, or is it a tune issue that's causing the fuel trim to be off or whatever? So yeah, so you guys get it. Pressure from the regulator, nope, it's distorting sensor signal, injector pulse, cavitation, turbulence. It's the injectors opening and closing. Here it is. What do you think this is for our GT500? This is your fuel rail pressure sensor right here. And guess where it is? Right on top of a fucking injector. How accurate do you think this is? Right? These motherfuckers are click-clacking. And this fucking thing is trying to read fuel pressure. And the signal's all choppy. So this is, imagine your 4 innovations. You have the ability to make something custom, and you mount the pressure sensor on top of an injector. I love 4, but this is what the industry thinks is good. I'm like, wait a minute, don't you get a better reading like on the line? Don't you why not make a relocation kit? Make a relocation kit, manufacturers. I know you want fuel rail pressure. Just put it on the line. It's on top of an injector that's pulsing, and the signal's all fucked up, and you saw what it looks like. So hopefully, again, I don't know anything. I'm just a dumb millwright that doesn't know shit. But when I actually show you parts and show you the signal and give you, common sense solutions, I'm an asshole. I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. Okay, cool. Why help this industry? Why help it? Let it go to shit. Chuck Wierzbowski, gotta love those fuel pressure sensor extension harnesses. Exactly. Oh, yes. Chuck, do you make them? Let me see. TheGaugeMount.com. I think Chuck makes them. Where are they, bro? Let me go to your Facebook page. I think you promoted it somewhere. Chuck, where's Wierzbowski? Okay. Let me see. Did you post something somewhere? This guy's a big motherfucker. Like, he's like disturbingly big. like he could just probably kill you just by slapping you. My request. Okay. 1320 Junkie. He's tight with 1320 Junkie. Intake adapter kits prepping for shipping. Wait a minute. You got intake adapters for 4-valve to boss stuff? 1320 Junkie? That's pretty cool. The problem is you fuck with the ops. So nothing wrong with that, but I obviously won't be buying it with that shit on there. So he has adapter plate. That's pretty cool. Here we go. Get a better fuel pressure signal. TheGaugeMount.com. Here it is. Bro, Chuck fuel pressure sensor extension harness. The factory fuel rail in our modern Fords have pulse dampening built in to smooth out the fuel pressure signal the ECU uses or sees. Why is this important to you? Because the control logic used in modern Ford vehicles have pressure compensation built in to adjust fuel flow on the fly. If there are significant variations in the fuel pressure readings, proper fueling can be adversely affected. Below you will find pictures comparing fuel pressure fluctuations with the sensor in versus then with the regulator. Look at that. Look at that. So this is in green. Look at how choppy the signal is, and in green after he relocated the fuel rail pressure sensor, it's a lot smoother. See? And not choppy. So TheGaugeMount.com, shout out to you. I'm going to put it on the chat because I like you. I like Chuck. Chuck's a good guy. I've never had an issue with Chuck. And that's crazy, right? Like, there are people in this industry that I've never had. It's not big enough. Fuck. Hey, Chuck, plug your shit because the link is too long. But TheGaugeMount.com. Go to, again, he's not paying me. He's not a sponsor, but I like him as a person. He's an honorable dude. TheGaugeMount.com. Go there and It's not a link. Fuck me. Whatever. Figure it out. Give him some free rep. But yeah, that matters. And again, the industry is like lazy when it comes to stuff. They wonder why tuners go, this sucks. Good morning, Theo. Where I work in an industrial plant, we use a regulator on the return side to keep the supply line at capacity. When used on the supply side, it caused a lot of noise on our pressure sensor. Ain't that some shit, Sam Ward? Ain't that some shit, Sam Ward? These people, bro, they ain't shit. They don't understand. The industrial side of things has figured this out 100 years ago. Have you ever heard of water hammering in house plumbing? Yes. Washers on solenoid slamming on and off. Yes. There's a shock in the flow. Injector pulse can be hammering. Exactly. Which is usually cause cavitation or like air being introduced into the system. Sure. Love you, Alex. I'm going to go get some coffee and go to a car meet out here in Chicago, just in case you were wondering. Love you, bro. Great channel. The guy Walker says the data doesn't lie. That's me, Chuck Wozerinsky. Alex Carrera, link them, please. I need to buy them, order my fuel system. Somebody makes them. I've seen them for sale. There you go. TheGaugeMount.com. Chuck Wozerinsky. That's crazy. Nobody has ever thought to move the sensor seeing that log. Yes. But see, as a tuner, I'll go out there and make parts, right? We attempted to make a turbo kit. Oh. Because we saw what was out there. But the problem is, one, it's expensive because it's quality parts. Two, packaging is tough. Three, you can't make money on it. So you're like, you can't, as a tuner, start making parts to sell because, one, the quality of the part is going to be high. So you're going to charge a high price. And what does the general public do? They buy the cheapest shit, bro. They don't buy the quality part. The thought process with a Mustang build is this. Price. So you want to go fast. On 3 kit. Budget return style system. Not injector dynamics injectors. And, E60. How come I didn't make it 1100? And I'm like, bro, love you, bro. The Lucid Air is crazy fast. Hit live. So the bottom image with the smoothed line is what my pressure looks like with the sensor mounted in front of the rail. The way 4 has it right on top of the port is ridiculous. Fuel rail pressure sensor on a GT500, ID 1700. I love you for, but yeah. And this will go hopefully on my GT500 again. Once I get a Department of Boost kit, put it on, probably deadhead it. I'll deadhead it. Fuck what anyone says. Put a plug back here, deadhead it. And people are going to be like, why are you doing that? I'm like, 'cause you don't need it at 1,000 horsepower. I'd interview him. I want to know what the fuck he knows. I'd expose him. Easy. Hey, the blueprint? Like, that blueprint thing that you put on heads to port them? Blueprint? Yeah, like the blueprint. Like, coño, órale, güey, ¿cómo se dice el blueprint? D-Kam? D-Kam? I'm not talking about gay women homes. I'm talking about that blue shit you put on the heads, man. It's called D-Kam. Ain't no way some blue shit is called D-Kam. Yeah, it's called D-Kam. Nah, I don't know. It's called like blue. It's called blueprint. D-Kam steel blue. No, the D-Kam. What are you talking about, the D-Kam? It says blue. See, it says blue in the name. Well, that's the color. Oh, okay. Well, D-Kam also makes the yellow marker. See, it's got black. It's got the yellow. It's got the blue. Blueprint. Blueprint. Yeah. That's the industry that we're in, Whatever. I make my money. I dip the fuck out. Try not to teach anyone too much. I'm leaving a like. Thank you, RoboStyle. Devin TK says, I'm selling my Whipple this week and just finished a D-Tour 400 pump. D-Tour 400 pump. Does it have an integrated check valve? Devin TK. Or is it Devon? Is it Devin or Devon? Because it matters. Theo, thoughts on when you would upgrade the cam caps? You know, let me. It's a good question. Let me see. FFRE. Images. Is there a long block picture anywhere? I don't think there's like a. You know, I don't know. Let's be honest. I don't. Boy, I wish they would show the long block. I don't know that the cam caps are like a crucial part of the whole situation at a certain power level. Obviously, if you're shooting for 2,000 plus, and if you see a failure point, I would understand it. But I don't know that that's something that needs, because you don't just upgrade cam caps, right? Doesn't it have to be machined to spec? Don't you have, like, you can't just shove cam caps on something, right? Like, you get cam caps, doesn't it have to be like line honed or whatever to the spec of whatever the cam, like, I don't know. Bluing hard hat. Does the 6R80 have O-rings for the converter and the input? No. If so, perhaps one got damaged and not holding. No, it doesn't. I'm back from my new job of cleaning porta potties. It smells just like my house. It's Turvey's neck tattoo. Do logs get more and more inconsistent the higher the horsepower goes? Great question. Let me see what I got going on here. This is a like 800 horsepower car, but I don't have, let me see. I want to open a data log file. Octane booster, 7,500, 3.35 pulley, and 100 shot. Okay, this is probably a 11. Let me see what's air load. This is probably an 1,100 horsepower car right here. It's so pretty. Look at fuel trims are chilling within 3%. He shifted at 8,100. So this is like a turbo 400 car, right? So 2% fuel trim, air fuel 0.79, 0.78. Shifted again at 7,900. 2.5 air load, 2.8 air load. 2.8 air load right here. It spiked. So let's say 2.4 air load with 100 shot. 19 degrees of spark advance. Chilling. Bro, like no torque sources. A little torque. He hit the rev limiter. No, torque source 7. That's interesting. He hit some kind of limiter, but it was such a blip that didn't even register. The problem was when you see this on Excel, you're like, oh, look. But this is like an 1,100 horsepower car, and it is like the prettiest, nicest log ever. Just chilling. If anything, logs look cleaner the higher the horsepower car. That's kind of hard to explain, but when you look at air load, pedal, everything is just happy. And again, this is the base file tweaked like 3 times. Copy paste. Yeah, that's right. Copy pasting 8-second and 7-second tunes. Could you imagine? Again, the base file has to be sent out. You still got to tune it and diagnose it after the data logs come back. That's where the talent is. That's it. I'm buying a fucking torque storm. Did he bust inside Meek's mouth? Would that be considered a Deadhead? Not sure. It's that one that came with the stage 3 kit. You got to know. Devin, TK, you got to know. You can't say, I don't know. I read that the updated ones have the check valves. I would not use the D-Torx 400 with a check valve because I've seen the stock pump outflow the D-Torx 400 with a check valve. Yes, you can just replace. Needs to be line board in place. Gotcha. Yes, Chuck says, yes, you can't just replace the cam caps. Need to be line board in place. 2 strokes for the life, man. You should, and yes, they do the line hold them. Copper head gasket. Chuck hot debate. Aren't there scenarios where line bore would actually not make sense? No. How are you verifying the tolerance? How are you verifying the fitment? That makes sense. SoCal Canyon experiment. Deal. I was a streetcar takeover this weekend and a lot of 6-sounding C601s out there. Haha, I got it. For instance, yeah, they were running like 9s, right? Was anything Billy badass SoCal Canyon experiment? Like 8-second shit? Probably like 950 cars everywhere. For instance, new head, new cam, new cap. What are you line boring? I get mixing new and old parts. Copper head gasket. Do you think the aftermarket cam cap is to the same exact factory tolerance than the bore on the head? You have to match the tolerance. You can't just bolt them on and go. If you want to score your cams up, sure, go ahead. If you want to have potential heat issues, go ahead. Put them on without verifying the tolerance. Go ahead. Fuck it. It's your car. Nate Dog says, what up, though, Alex? I got a 21 GT with a Gen 5 Whipple Stage 2. Looking to go with a 4 dual system. Level 2, Lund tune. Should I do a 274 or 285 pumps? 285 pumps is what I always recommend. Why do people hate copy? Why do people hate copy paste? I wouldn't have gotten my current job without it. Copy paste means you're good enough that you don't need to be making changes all the time. There are tuners that subscribe to the theory that you have to start from scratch. And imagine starting from scratch and ending up at the same place 16 times in a row. Imagine how stupid and inefficient you are that you start from scratch and end up in the same place 16 times in a row. Let's say you have 16 2015 Mustangs in front of you and you have a PMAS, because with the JLT you will be custom tuning all of them. PMAS cold air intake on all of them. And you go, I'm a better tuner than anybody. I tune it from scratch. And then you go, boom, dial in all the torque tables, all the cam shit. You dial everything in, MAF curve, pull it, 2% fuel trims, 410 horsepower wheel. That took you a day or two. Then you do it to the next car. And you start from scratch. Same result, same horsepower. 16 times you do that from scratch. It took you 15 or 16 or 20 days to do that. Or I can go copy paste. Okay, all of you at the same time, send me a data log. Every data log, 2 to 3%, 410 horsepower. 2 to 3%, 410 horsepower. In 20 minutes, I just made 16 times, let's say 350 or 400 bucks. And you, in 20 days, did that because you do it from scratch. And then you go, oh man, this industry's fucked up. I don't make enough money. Because you're stupid. You're not efficient. Imagine SpaceX having all of that data. That's a great example. Great example. Here you go, homos. SpaceX had a little rocket engine in Hopper, a test tank, and they went up with it, across and down. They have data. Then they're launching Falcon 9 rockets nonstop, right? They all gather a bunch of data, the base file. And then they go, well, based on the size, thrust, power, speed, based on all of the data I've collected, I think on the first shot, this son of a bitch is going to land on the fucking chopsticks with no problem because I have all this data. Or should they have gone from scratch start, negated all of their telemetry data, all of their avionics, all of their experience, and gone, let's just try it from scratch and see what happens. Boom, chopsticks blow up, the whole tank farm blows up. Now they got to start from scratch. No, all of their data told them this motherfucker's going to land on the chopsticks based on all the data we got. Do it from scratch. Fucking retard. Copperhead gas doesn't get it. The caps are made along with the head at the same time in line board. Oh, what are you? I'm an idiot. You read the comment before I removed from the chat. My fault, guys. Even factory heads and factory blocks have to get the caps lined. No, don't tell him that. It's a new part. Hey, I got a new MMR cam cap and a new Ford cylinder head. What's the problem? Dart 2JZ block come through rough finished and finish tolerance needs to be done. Can caps would be the same with bulletin caps. You mean billet, I think. Needs finished machine to work right. How much would 13 PSI make on an average on a twin kit? E85, 13 PSI. Fuck, probably close to 800 or more. Can anyone else say they've got copy, paste 7-second cars? Nobody. Well, I don't know, Breadman, put your cam caps in different locations, right? 8, 9, same shit. That's racing. Oh, by the way, the failure was nothing to do with me. Yeah, okay. It's also easier to pick an outlier. If 10 cars run fine with the same tune and one doesn't, it's obvious it isn't the tune. Hey, yo, I got 10 fucking cars. I sent them all the same tune, one acts up. Oh, because you're a copy paster. You should custom tune all of them. Shut the fuck up. The car has a bad O2. based on length, girth, and vanes, determines a run order. Here in the South, we do it a little different. Here, you Yankees.
Now, here in the South, we do it a bit different than you Yankees. Here, buy-in is showing me your dick. And depending on the size, girth, and veins determines the run order. Winner gets my ass.
Winner gets my ass. You even line hone when you change to the better fasteners due to distortion. But it's a new fastener. Why do you need to do... You use the base data of what works and then adjust accordingly if needed. Nope. You tune from scratch every combo. You're paying for the time and testing that you've already done. You don't have to. Duh. Stop. Appreciate it. Support from the tree. Damn, I appreciate that very much. See Trump slaying all the Al Smith dinner, dude. Elon Musk is giving away $1 million in Pennsylvania every day until the election for people that sign up. You know, randomly. One person a day wins $1 million to sign. Like, if he loses, oh, bro, that bitch is gonna be loaded. All 7 in the shit. I'll have the vest. I'm like, try to take my shit. I'm there. I'm one of those. I'll be wearing the fucking the night vision. Dude, it's over. Fuck all that. Winner gets my ass. Hi, Rise. Thank you very much. And yeah, look, today this peasant chat has been very, this is one of those chats you listen back to and you're like, God damn it, a lot of knowledge was dropped. An opinion, let's be honest. This is opinion. I could be 100% wrong about the fuel pressure loss, about the fuel pressure data, about all that stuff. I get it. On deadheading versus fuel. But prove it to me. Don't just tell me, oh, I'm the manufacturer, so you know how many times, for the longest time, 4 Innovations was telling you never to run 2 pumps hot because it runs hot. Think about that. Think about that. I love 4, by the way. You can't run 2 pumps hot, 285s, because the fuel system's going to run hot. Well, what happens if I return it after it's gone through the motor? It's rotating the fuel in the rails on top of a hot motor. Did you ever think about that? Oh, shit. No, we never thought about that. Trump 2020 motherfuckers, or 2024. Sounds more like they want you to band-aid the problems with their cars with a custom tune. Exactly. Same, we ready. Exactly. You watch the Kamala Fox News interview, of course. Like, that should have buried her. But no, it'll be close. Watch, it'll be close. We got a copy-paste 7-second S550, says Super Duty Customs. Don't get that. You seen the video of the alligator trying to chew on someone's tire while the hurricane was happening. Tuning from scratch reminded me of the EcoBoost days. 12 revisions just to go slower than a stock 335. Alice equals operator. I like the theory type of lives. Me too. These are the conversations. It went fast. This live went fast to me because I have a lot of thoughts and a lot of things to get out. And then when people actually listen and understand what I'm trying to say, they don't judge it. But when you're like in an industry where shaking the established norms pisses people off because now they have to think, okay, then I don't want to help the industry. I want to help the customer. Because if the customer has to buy a Chuck Wazowski extension harness and put the fuel rail sensor, pressure sensor on a line somewhere, and then maybe tweak some stuff that the industry already does, cool. The industry is the base file. You, the customer, along with this show and tuners like Lund, are the tune, where we now tweak what works or doesn't work. Because if everything was perfect out of the box, people like us would not be needed. You know what I mean? So I don't mind it, but I'm not looking to make them change anything. Like, let them do their thing. Got to make it too big to rig. I agree. Because it'll be rigged. Absolutely. It'll be rigged. What are you going to do? I think there's a comment down here that I can't get to. Been running twin 285s for 10 years and no issues. Oh, you can't run that. I had a guy say, hey, 4 Innovations wants the data log. I'm like, here you go. Fuel trims are spiking. Gen 2. I'm like, it's a vetted MAF curve. It's a Vortec MAF curve. It's a pump gas car. On 10 PSI, your fuel system's spiking. You have a pump that's down. Or something wrong with the fuel system or a bad relay. Something is not supplying the right amount of fuel. Well, I want to see a data log. I'm sorry, guys. You won't be able to see a data. You won't be able to, because what I'm looking at in the data log is experience. I'm not looking at anything else but experience. And if you don't have experience, like I have experience in looking at a data log and owning the vehicle and vetting the file and seeing what the trends are, you won't know what you're looking at. You're going to say fuel trims are high, the tune is off. No, it's not off. The fuel system is having issues. So we'll talk, we'll see what happens. I'll give you guys an update. All right, because I'm out of here. Thank you very much. Good peasant chat. Had a bunch of fun. This is one of the ones you're going to listen back to and go, a lot of knowledge was dropped. This was not a peasant chat. This was a legit good chat. I hope you guys have a good rest of your Sunday. I'm going to actually go out there and determine if Donnie's converter is still attached to the flywheel because something's going on. If there's other issues internal, like once I have to take the transmission out, and I'll try to get a video of me and Jake rebuilding the transmission with billet parts, Blue Streak forward planetary, input, forward shaft, drum, whatever billet parts I can get on this thing. It's going to be expensive, but Donnie's going to get treated right. I want Donnie to eventually go to a new owner and have him have the peace of mind that this thing is badass. This thing can go 8s or low 9s easily and be reliable. So that's why I'm building Donnie the way I'm building it. I'm going to go 11s NA first, do suspension, do drive shaft, do as much as I can before I shove a blower on it. And then we can go party and have some fun and see if Donnie can go into the low 9s by the end of this race season, which is about March. It's going to be tough. It's going to be expensive, but I'll try to get it done so I can get you guys the content. Obviously, at the same time, the 01 stuff's going to get done. The GT500 stuff getting done. That's all I do all the time is think, work, buy, vet, work with people to get parts going on all the projects. I know it's slow going, but I'm only one guy, so I'm trying to get a team around me so we can get the projects on the channel and get you guys content sooner than later. Have a good rest of Sunday. I will see you guys on Tuesday for Talking Shit Tuesday. See you guys later. Bye.